In this video, we're going to be replacing the neutral safety switch on this 2005 Honda Element. To remove our wheel, it's going to be a 19mm socket. I'll take our wheel off now. Go ahead and put your vehicle into neutral before you start removing your neutral safety switch. So our transmission neutral safety switch is behind this black cover here, which again is a lot more accessible once you take your wheel off. It is possible to try and do this with the wheel on, coming up from this angle, but we're going to take the wheel off. We're going to take this cover off here. One of these is already loose. It's going to be 10mm bolts. We have a swivel on here just so we can get the inside. So these are different length bolts, so try and make sure they go back in the position they came up. This one I really didn't need the swivel for. Make it a little bit more difficult, so we'll take the swivel off. And there's your cover. So we're going to remove this connector. I'm going to try and use a pick tool to pop up the bottom of that tab and push the connector upwards. Now if we can't get this connector to separate while we're here, there we go. As I say, we could take our bolts out and try it then. There's your connector. Set that aside. Now that we're at our neutral safety switch, we're going to remove these two 10mm bolts. Okay, so we have our two bolts out. You can see our safety switch is moving around. We're going to have to now just pull it straight off of this selector rod here. We can set our old one aside. And before we put our new one on, we're just going to clean up around here a little bit. Our vehicle's in neutral, and our neutral safety switch has something that has to align to that shaft there. What you need to do is you'll see some notches here. We're going to get a 2.0mm feeler gauge. We actually have a few stacked up. If you don't happen to have this, what you want to do is find something that will fill these slots here. You're going to hold this center from rotating out of the neutral position inside the switch. You're going to plug in your neutral safety switch. And while holding it, you're going to put it onto that arm coming out of the transmission and into place. And you're going to hold that 2.0 feeler gauge in place while you put your bolts in and tighten them down. Okay, I'll go ahead and snug those up. And these are going to be torqued down to 8.6 foot-pounds, but we're just going to tighten them enough. We'll take our feeler gauge out. Now the feeler gauge, the point of the feeler gauge is to make sure the center didn't rotate. Everything looks good, nothing rotated. We'll just come back and give these an extra little bit here. Okay. Now from here, we can reinstall our cover. Cover is going to go on the same way it came off, in the same location. And the bolts are going to go back into their same spots as well because there's different sizes. So we'll put the long one in where it came from. And the other two the same size. And that's it. You can reinstall your tire, put your vehicle back into park, start it up, and run through the gears. Make sure everything shifts the way it should. Make sure everything operates fine. You're all set. So now we can install our wheel. Sometimes when I'm having an issue centering or getting the wheel on nice and flat, I like to do a top nice and tight, push in, do a bottom nice and tight, and then rock back and forth till I get those two nice and tight. And that usually helps me get a wheel nice and flat. All right, now we can do the other ones. Come in here with our 19 millimeter. Just snug these up. All right, now to torque these down, we're going to have to put the vehicle on the ground so the wheel doesn't spin. Now that our vehicle's on the ground, we're going to torque our lug nuts down to 80 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a crisscross pattern. And then sometimes, if you really feel the need to, you can run around a second time just to make sure. And that's it.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.